Bridger throws it out in the flat. This ball caught by Burke. Burke still on his feet. Burke down the sideline. Touchdown, Syracuse. Boy, everyone kind of stalled, but Ty Burke didn't. And it's a 26-yard touchdown pass from Hamblin to Burke. The Titans on the board.
Welcome in Deseret News Rewind, Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart as always, presented by Heidemann Associates, but brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
That's right, Dusty, and we're here at Governor's Day at Camp Williams, and of course, if you're interested in an opportunity where you can learn, teamwork, learn how to be a leader, there's no better place than the Utah Army National Guard. Up to $20,000 in educational assistance, as well as $20,000 in signing bonuses available through the Utah Army National Guard. You can visit www.nationalguard.com to learn more.
All right, we're going to have a lot of excitement here. Right now it's Governor's Day, as you mentioned. All of our videos taking place at different spots here around Camp Williams, but we're going to have cannons going off. We're going to have this video is, the most action-packed video in the history of Deseret News Rewind. But let's jump into, really, Dane, you were at the game of the night.
Yeah.
Double overtime thriller, Roy and Syracuse.
Boy, this game was an intriguing game, and first place in Region 1 on the line, Syracuse on the road. Roy, first possession they have, they turn it over, and Syracuse able to capitalize just a short moment later as Hamblin able to dial one up to Ty Burke, 26 yards out. It's 6-0 the lead for the Titans. Roy with a strong answer. How about Izzy Gordon? 81-yard touchdown run as Roy was able to take the lead. Just a couple minutes later, it's Hamblin to Burke. Again, 46 yards out and the lead back to the Titans. Second quarter, and it's 14-13, a lead for Roy as Hamblin able to this time find Adams with about 4.5 minutes left. It'd be a 20-14 lead at the break for the Titans. Move on to the third quarter. How about Gordon once again able to finish this drive out from 6 yards out, 21-20, as Roy back in front. Fourth quarter now, and this is Toms with a 10-yard run, and Roy with their biggest lead of the game, 28-28. Or 28-20 in the fourth. Midway through, Hamblin able to cap off a drive for Syracuse, 1 yard out, and then the 2-point conversion. How about this play to Ty Burke on the sweep, and we're tied up at 28. This game going to head to overtime. In the first overtime, Hamblin able to find Burke. Roy would be able to respond, just running the football themselves, 35 apiece. Roy would get a field goal on their second overtime, and in second overtime for Syracuse, how about this? A 6-yard touchdown run for Hamblin, 41-38. That'd be your final. Dusty Bridger Hamblin was all over the field in this ball game. 4 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. He was phenomenal as the Syracuse Titans get a big win over Roy in double overtime. Nonetheless, 41-38.
I knew it was coming, and it didn't matter.
Well done.
Yeah. I got people around me to protect me. Right? To watch it from where I was, the vantage point of the studio, you watch that game and it just wouldn't end. You talk about Syracuse, and I wonder how good they'd be, right? Because at the beginning of the year, they lose that game to Farmington. We didn't know how good Farmington was. I kind of referenced that the last 3 weeks, because that shows how good Farmington is.
Yeah.
They beat Syracuse. They beat them handily.
Yeah.
And you watch it, the Titans have done the win over Weber, and now to go up to Roy and get that win. But I'll tell you what, you show up and do a game at Roy, it's going to be a good game.
Yeah, it is, and it was. And, Roy had a couple of errors, turnovers, gave Syracuse a couple of short fields. Syracuse was able to take advantage sometimes they did not. But in the end, Bridger Hamblin is so good. And that's really what I came away with, was so impressed with how good Hamblin is for this team. He ran the ball for, I think, at 150, threw for 150. He was a monster in this ball game. And that doesn't even include Burke. It doesn't include some of the other. Fanua had a good game out of the backfield. Adams, a dynamic receiver. This Syracuse offense, so much improved over recent years, and they're now in the driver's seat in Region 1.
And Ty Burke. He would have had 4 touchdowns. He had 1 call back as well. That kid is an absolute stud. I was joking around, I was like, was his 5th year at Syracuse? It feels like he's been there forever, but he was our Deseret News Rewind top play of the week, and absolutely spectacular. All right, look, before we get into 6A, your thoughts. It's the opening statement brought to you by Heidemann and Associates of what we saw in week number 5.
Well, I think a couple big statements. We talked about we were going to learn how good Syracuse was. We learned. We were going to learn how good Harriman was. We learned. We'll talk about that one later on. But, boy, this RPI is going to come out Monday. I think it's going to be surprising to see how some of these teams stack up. Go check it out, uhsaa.org. We'll also have some video content coming out going through the RPI. But to me, it's kind of the late jockeying for that first release of the RPI, and it's going to be fun to see how all this shakes out.
Well, you got teams that think we understand.
Yeah.
And what we learned is one of my favorite lines from Bill Parcells: football is a week-to-week sport.
Yep.
And when you look at Harriman, we talk about some of the tough losses. That game against AF tells you everything you need to know about them. And AF had that big win at East. Yep. They go to Harriman and can't get a dub. But you look at, people want to dog on us about Milford Beaver. Well, you learn about it. You get an understanding of who teams are. And to me, week 5, kind of showed it, and a team that we're going to talk about and some of this stuff, even see Pro will get that win at Springville, just understanding who teams are. Yep. Week 5, I want to say the picture's getting a little clearer, but it's just a whole new world right now in an RPI world of where this will change, what it will mean within region play, and what it will change, because you can get wins, and we're going to see how it even reacts if it does at all.
Yeah.
You might win and might see that drop, and we're going to learn that, as you mentioned, Monday. You're going to have that first RPI come out and understand it. All right, your best of 6A.
Well, let's start right there with AF Harriman. AF, they have been scoring lights out. They put up 59, I think, against East, and it was Betts that came in relief for Madsen, and boy, you got to feel pretty good if you're a Caveman fan, and instead you go to Harriman, you've got a tie ball game, and Harriman ends up putting 20 on you in the fourth quarter. And Jackson James, the senior, started last year as a junior, had, I think, 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown in this one, but Harriman sends a big statement. Hey, we said last week, right? Like, you've got to do something to kind of put yourself on the map. They've had some opportunities in recent years. I know they won a state championship, 2014, 15, but they've had opportunities in the regular season kind of show, hey, this is a year where we can contend, and a lot of those opportunities have gone by the wayside. Hey, not this year. This Harriman team on the map, contender in 6A. That's a big win, as big as you'll find this week.
Want to see them win their big games, right? Because they lost the big games, but been close to some of those big games. They could have beaten East 2 years in a row and couldn't get over the hump. Beating AF, that is one of those ones. It's not late in the year. It's right in the middle of the season. Here we are. You punt your flag inside of 6A right now.
Right.
Hey, Harriman ain't to be messed with. And they got a big game against Bingham this week. Here's one I don't go to. You consider yourself Mr. Region 2. How about West Jordan? 30-27 over West. I think West is much improved. Junior Solovi's going to get that thing. We feel like he can get that thing turned around in year 1, a lot more competitive than they have been in the years past. But it was Isaiah LaPoli scoring 3 rushing touchdowns. The last one sealed the game for the Jags in a 30-27 win for the Jaguars over the West Panthers.
You had to bring that up since I said West would win Region 2, didn't you?
Maybe.
Game-winning touchdown. 3 minutes left?
Yeah.
LaPoli had a big game.
Seal that one. All right, your best of 5A.
All right, well, hey, I'm going to go a little off the map. I'm going to leave one for you. How about, we talk about statements, how about Salem Hills, folks? They beat Fremont earlier this year, said that was a solid win, and then they have to deal with Highland, who's been scoring a lot of points this year. And Salem Hills had a 28-7 lead at one point, and they beat them 28-14. They shut down that Highland rushing attack, and the Skyhawks, Dusty, get a big win representing Region 8. Region 8, it's going to be a blast.
Region 8 is really good. Stay in Region 8.
Yeah.
How about Provo? Haven't won at Springville. We talk about this. The Berlin Walters, they beat Timpview. I don't know when last time they won a game at Springville. And plenty good sources telling me that they don't know when last time it happened. Up 28-7, and it looked like Haslam and Havea had this thing wrapped up. And all of a sudden, here came Springville. Coach Willie Child and the Devils bring that team back. Get this. Here's the story that won't be in here. An onside kick. It was 28-7. We got the 28-22 onside kick recovered by Springville.
Wow.
Offsides.
Oh.
Brought it back. Pro gets the ball, drives down the length of the field, missed the field goal 14 seconds up. It sealed the game. And Coach McGeary, in his final season, folks, Coach McGeary going to be leaving the Provo Bulldogs. What's been a great career, get a win, but that sets up, really, how about this? Salem Hills, Provo, collision course.
Yes.
Coming at each other. Got big games coming up this week. Go watch another video, watch those predictions, but a big win for Provo.
Well done.
A really good one. All right, your best of the rest.
Well, Dusty, look, sometimes you got to take your comeuppance, right? And the Milford men had the longest winning streak in the state. It was 23 games. They felt really good with their game plan going down to Beaver. You know my favorite tweet of the night last night? It's from Bryson Barnes. Said, hey, good game plan, great execution. Got to give you a hand. How about Beaver? Look, I know that this is not me leaving the Milford train, but we've been pubbing Milford.
Yes,
talking about that offense and Bryson Barnes and how good they have been. The Beaver defense showed up, as did the offense. Big win for the Beavs, and I know some people were like, hey, why aren't you talking about Beaver a little bit? So here you go. Milford is still a contender in 2A. I'm not abandoning the Milford men and Bryson Barnes. They'll get back to work. They'll be fine. But when you look at Beaver and this specific team, I mean, how about Riker Albrecht? 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. And, you know, when you look at this series, how about the worst winning percentage against any single opponent for Milford is against Beaver. Wow. They are 3-34 since 1970 against the Beavers.
And where was the research department on that one?
Yeah.
The intern dropped the ball on that one. Not getting us that information last
He's getting
week.
an F this term.
We're going to talk about taking back that credit. Hey, I tell you what, my favorite tweet of the night was a young man that tweets at us, hey, how about that defense? He created his Twitter last night. Had 1 follow. I loved it. Like, hey, if you're come at us, come at us.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah.
All right, here mine. I know I always do this, but Region 9, Dixie, Snow Canyon. Snow Canyon hung in this one, and it was a big night. Preston Moore rushed for 136 yards. Reggie Graff added another 106 yards on the ground. Snow Canyon hung in this ball game. They had opportunities in this game. This was a fun game, and but it was the Dixie Flyers. St. George School number 1 over St. George School number 3, but it was 34-28 Flyers commanding lead in Region 9.
That's a good one.
All right, no theme portion of the week of this show. Look out for our RPI video. First RPI came out Monday. That's what we wanted to talk about.
Yep.
We're going to wait, and that'll be its own video instead of its segment here. So let's go to the quick hits brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
Dusty, I had another candidate for best of the rest. How about Millard? 56-0 over Monticello. But really the story, Austin Burriston. He's a young man that we have not talked about. He is an absolute beast. I think he's 6'2", about 215, had 3 rushing touchdowns in the win, 15 yards, 69 and 79-yard rushing touchdowns, including a 44-yard receiving touchdown. Burriston, maybe the best running back in the state we haven't talked to about. They're 5-0, the Millard Eagles are. They got a big showdown with Beaver coming up.
How about Region 6 play? How about the Olympus Titans?
Yeah.
Getting a win over Brighton. Very, very impressed with what we saw from Olympus getting the big win over the Bengals off a team that really should be hanging around here in Region 6 and we think will be very, very good.
How about Bear River playing Ridgeline? They trailed in this ballgame 14-0. A pair of defensive touchdowns for the Bears. Fonnesbeck had a 70-yard pick 6, was the game winner, and they also had a fumble recovered in the end zone for another defensive touchdown. The D coming up big for the Bears. They start 1-0 in region.
How about a rare come-from-behind win after trailing 14-5?
Yeah.
14-5, folks. So it was Skyview coming back against Green Canyon. My region pick, whatever. But it was a great job. Case and Carlson scored 3 touchdowns, all coming up after the Bobcats fell down 14-5. So 21 points out of him. Wade Carlisle also found the end zone and a big win, and it was a fun one. I mean, Green Canyon drove the length of the field, had a chance to score. Get this, they throw the ball in the end zone, had a 15-yard penalty. It was 4th and 5, half the distance to the goal, and once again, the Skyview defense rose up and made the stop. Big win for the Bobcats.
There were a lot of safeties last night, by the way. Peculiar. How about we stay in the Region 9, and how about trailing 13-0? And Mountain Crest goes on to score 33 unanswered. They beat the Grizzlies 33-13, first win of the year. For Mountain Crest, they get a big win over their rival.
Hey, how about this one? East getting a big win. I
Yes.
never pick California over Utah in anything, including weather. Only the ocean. Even that's a little overrated too.
Yeah.
So yeah. How about this? Trailing 20-7 in the first quarter. East comes back. Sula has 3 rushing touchdowns, and the Leopards, Coach Matic, getting a big win over Menlo Atherton.
Big one. Great to see East represent the state against those pesky Californians. How about Riverton and Kearns? Riverton just keeps winning ball games,
Yes,
Dusty. Kearns has a big touchdown. You got to feel pretty doggone good. A pick 6 by Zamora. With 2:31 left, you're like, oh, yeah, Kearns. All right, we're going to get a non-region. Wait, what? A kickoff return for a touchdown after the pick 6, returned 80 yards by Isaac Rangers, and Riverton 32-26 over the Cougars. Riverton off to a strong start with region play coming up.
Yeah, and here's the note. We got the message, but Brax Watt, young man, ACL surgery 5 months ago, gets sent out of the country. Guess the name of that doctor, by the way. But 5 months after ACL surgery, kid's been absolutely spectacular. And how about the Riverton Silverwolves just continue to win? Riverton Silverwolves continue to win games, and just impressive. And we'll see if I imagine they'll be in our top 5 plays because they're in our top 5 plays every single week here on Deseret News Rewind. How about this one? We talked about it. Skyridge and Orem. We both went on Orem, and it goes Skyridge's way, 28-14. Stone Mulitalo took a score, put a 75 scoop and score from him, and also a scoop and score Carson Baker. I mean, getting scores on defense.
Right.
I mean, that's like the team from up north taking out the team from down south. Don't need even offense. You just got to read your defense score.
How about this? Orem had one too. There were 3 fumble recoveries for a touchdown that ball game. Weird.
That is really weird. Turnovers turn to points.
Let's end this thing on a positive note, huh?
Right.
How about Cedar Valley? The Aviators, Dusty, got their first win last night, defeating Ben Lomond 35-0. Jackson Hooley had 4 passing touchdowns. First win in program history for the new school, Cedar Valley. Hats off to you. The Aviators flying high in week 5.
That was really, really good. I'm sure we missed some good performances. Hit us up on Twitter at Dane News Rewind, at Dane_Stewart, at Dusty Litster, or you can comment on our Facebook posts. We'd love to hear from you. The stories maybe we're missing. The Watts made sure we got that story. It's a great one. We finally make sure we talk about that as well. But a big week 6 coming up. Look out for all of our videos, top 5 plays. Look out for the polls for the game of the week. Got a lot of things coming up, but also taking the beautiful sights of Camp Williams here on Governor's Day. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching Deseret News Rewind on Deseret.com.